My topic for today is Beyond Subsidies. Can agri-tech solve India's farmer economic challenge? So let's go into that topic. I'm sure all of you have heard a story about a farmer who had 5,000 rupees in the beginning of the crop season and had to make a very difficult choice. A choice to pay for the child's education, or to pay down a debt, or to buy seeds and farming equipment for the upcoming season. Imagine the plight of that farmer. And it's not a personal tragedy, it's something that affects millions of our farmers across India. So what can we do about it? You'd be very interested to know that 80%, or I should say 15% of India's workforce is farmers, and they contribute to 20% of the GDP. So when such a problem hits them, it's actually a national emergency. It's not a personal tragedy. We need to find out innovative solutions for farmers. Let's walk the journey of a farmer. That journey is step one. It starts at the beginning of the season, right? It starts with a very important question. What should I grow? What is the crop that I need to grow? Now, you may be surprised. Most of that is knowledge that they got from their fathers, grandfathers, and people who have grown in that farm. So they will just go with that information. But we all know that there are lots of changing dynamics. Dynamics around climate, dynamics on soil, and then dynamics of consumer preferences that are changing all the time. Right? So how does a farmer get all of that information together to make a more informed decision? Agri-tech can help. Right? Agri-tech can build platforms where we can tap into the consumer preferences and route that directly to the farmer, combine that with digitized soil health data that the central government has, pull that information together, and then on top of it, leverage satellites that provide you climate-related information and come up with a very, very specific advice to that farmer on what he or she should grow so that he realizes the full potential and value of what he's about to embark on. So that's step number one. So let's say we go to step number two, right? The cropping season has started. Suddenly there's an attack of disease on the leaves, on the crop, or there's a pest infestation. What does the farmer do? Typically, they guess what the problem is, or sometimes they do nothing. And that is something that we can solve with agri-tech today. Right? We just have to take a photograph of what the problem is, including pest infestation, and AI would match that with hundreds of thousands of images collected in that taluk or that district or that state, and apply that and come up with the right diagnosis of what the problem is. Once you diagnose the problem, we can also tap into the wisdom of the agriculture universities to come up with the right recommendation on how to fix that problem. So, in essence, you have a digital agronomist in the pocket of the farmer where you can just tap into it, and AI comes in the picture along with multiple other information that they can use to then solve the problem in people. Let's go to step number 3. Alright, so the cropping season is over. Now the farmer has to decide how much he has to sell the product for. Right? When we build something, we have to sell it to someone. When the farmer makes that decision, typically they eye the quality of the product that they have. And then they go to a middleman, and then they sell the product. And the middleman takes most of the profit. Why? Because the farmer does not know what actually is the quality of the product that he or she is selling. Enter agri-tech. We have IoT-enabled quality and assaying of crops like paddy, wheat, mustard, and come up with the right information to the farmer. Not just that, we can also bring in money-related live information to the farmer so that the farmer can make an informed decision on A, what is the quality of the product that I have, and B, what is the going price in the market based on national level money information that you may get from ENAM or AgMarkNet, etc. Okay. So now AgriTech can put this information as well. But here is the problem. There is something that's bigger than all of this. There's a hidden problem for the farmer. And that hidden problem is access, credit access, or access to credit. The biggest problem there is, you may know this, 80% of the farmers are buying from lenders at 24% interest rate. Just imagine for a minute, if you and I were to buy a house or a car at 24% interest rate, trust me, most of us would not have that product at 15 because the interest rate is so steep. So it's a plight for the farmers. Right? So how do we get them out of that problem? The simple answer is digital microloans, right? Based on yield that comes from that farm. How would you know that? You digitize that information, you store it for a period of time using the farmer ID, and then you use that information to advance loan to them. You can also advance loans on inputs, like say fertilizers or farm machinery, etc. Right? So now the farmer has loans that are given to him based on what he or she can produce in that farm. And then they use it for throughout the season. Alright, so now that we have that, it's a very simple question. We've got all of this technology, so why aren't farmers using all of that? Okay. You may know that digital adoption in rural communities is low as compared to urban areas. How do we get around that problem? So AgriTech, today in one of the states like Bihar, a farmer can pick up a phone and call a toll-free number and ask a question telling the system where he or she is located, and the system would come up with the right advisory. How does that happen? There's AI behind the scenes that picks up on the language that the farmer may speak. It may be Bhojpuri, Maithili, one of the regional languages. So AI detects the language, reduces any noise in the language, converts it into English, matches it with a large language model that has information on whatever the farming best practices are, and then comes back with the right advisory to the farmer in 5 seconds. We've seen this happen in Bihar. And so this immediately addresses the problem of a voice-led AI system that taps into the wisdom of not just the private organizations, but also public organizations. Right? So that is the power of AI. Alright, so if all of this is true, it should work. It should work not just in Bihar, not just in some states, but in states across India. Right? And here's the beauty. AI does not discriminate. It can only scale up. Right? So you just have to tap into technology and have that scale up your system that we have in place. Let's put it this way. If 50% of the workforce is from farmers and they contribute to 20% of GDP, everything that we have talked about so far, even if there's a 1% increase in agri productivity, it will have a huge upside to the GDP of the nation. So it's a national growth strategy. It's not helping one or two farmers or even thousands of farmers. It really changes the dynamic of the GDP of the nation. When you have all of this agri-tech made available to farmers and farming communities. Let's revisit the 5,000 rupee dilemma that a farmer had in the beginning of the season. Right? Now the same farmer starts the season with 5,000 rupees of insights into what to grow, how to take care of any problem that they have, be it pest infestation or disease detection, etc. And then knows the consumer preference and has all the credit available through microloans, input financing, etc. to start the season. And they get all the right advisory in between, be it from government or from private organizations. This changes the dynamic for the farmer. It goes from desperation to dignity. And that's a big step for our farmers who contribute so much to the workforce of India. Lastly, let's lead with this one final thought, right? When the farmer wins, India wins. We have all heard the term Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. When the farmer wins, India wins. And agri-tech is very real. We are seeing its implementation across the nation. It's been led in a few states, but it can scale up very, very quickly with the help of the government and the private players to make this a reality for multiple farmers, right? Where there is dignity, food security, and so let's not wait for it to happen. Let's be part of that and make it happen. Okay, so thank you for the opportunity. Thanks.